Hey Hebrew fans, this is Todd. And yes, I broke down and bought the 80th Mattel Anniversary pack. Now, of course, it's not 80 years for He-Man, just 80 years for Mattel. But this right here has He-Man and Skeletor, and it's supposed to be based on the original figures from 1981, 82, depends on what you want to call it. They're produced in 81, but they came out in 82. But here's an original He-Man figure with a spring-powered punch. So we're going to use this to compare the figure in the box. And you will see how close it is. Now, unfortunately, I don't have just a regular Skeletor, but I do have this Skeletor here, which you can probably use for some comparisons. Now, this Skeletor does have bigger feet than the normal one did. The coloring is a little different, so it's not going to be a true comparison, but it's still interesting. And I also have some figures from the Commemorative line that we can look at. Let me just open my other box here. And we have He-Man. Dun, dun, dun. Now, this Commemorative He-Man has a regular He-Man head, not a commemorative head. I should have probably grabbed my commemorative head He-Man so you can see the difference, because this head's way better. And then I have a commemorative Skeletor. Skeletor. Dun, 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 dun. Stan, man, his legs are getting loose. So we'll use that to compare some of the differences from these. These were released in 2000. So there we go. All right. Oop, dropping Skeletor. You know what? Let me look. I think I do have a commemorative head in the package here, so we can see the original. There it is. There's the original commemorative head, and it was just, in my opinion, not nearly as good of a sculpt as the original He-Man head was. You know what? I got the wrong figure. That's my commemorative. Here we go. And the original He-Man head was. I know it looks the same because it's the same basically. I think this one was from actually, what do you call it? Battle Armor He-Man, actually. But anyway, I digress. So, let's go ahead and get this open now. Let me grab a sword set too, so we can take a look at the swords. And I have the original swords in here as well. Here's the original swords from the 80s. We can compare those as well. All right. Whew, we got everything we need now to do a good comparison and have fun checking out this cool package. So first of all, here is the package. And it is really cool looking. They have an 80 on the front, and you have to break through this paper first to get it open to look at the box. They got lots of tape on it, tape on the top. My box had a little rip in it. This is a Target exclusive. And here's the back of the box. And it looks like this is a brand new box art, but very reminiscent of the old box art we used to have. What? It includes vintage style squishy heads. Combine the sword halves to form the power sword. Now, what's interesting is they did not redesign the swords. These are the swords they used with the first releases of the He-Man and Skeletor releases. I don't think this one has it in there. No, this one has the newer sword, I believe. But the very first releases with the other heads, they actually had these two swords in there. So I was hoping they would remake these here, but that's okay. That's all right. We'll take a look. It's funny, squishy heads. I remember the squishy heads. All right, let's go ahead and not rip this. Let's start cutting it all open to try to preserve. You know what? I wonder if I open the top of the box, if I can just pull them out. Of course, you know what? It's fun to actually open it. It's got a seam right here, so let's do it right. Let's do it right. Oh, that's cool. Look, they got the original Skeletor art, but I heard they lost the He-Man one. So you can see here, this one's a little different than the original one. It's like they had to remake it. Let me go ahead and show you the original one. So I have them on my wall over here. So here's the original box art of He-Man. And here's the original box art of Skeletor. And so you can see it looks like the original Skeletor. I guess not. They must have recreated that too. It's very close, but actually it is different. It just looked the same to me at first glance, but the feet are different. The armor's different. The Havoc staff is different. Oh, the arms are different too. The arm right here in this corner doesn't have the points on it. And this one does have the flared points. So I guess they recreated both of them. Wow. Okay. Let me just set these aside. Now, when I looked on Target.com, this is what they showed for the figures. They had this He-Man here and this Skeletor, and these are obviously painted and not the ones you'll be getting. And I've already noticed there's some difference in these, and we'll go back and compare these pictures from the Target website versus what we got in the box. So keep that in mind. All right, let's get this open now. Let's get it open now. Slicey dicey the tape. Didn't do a very good job cutting that tape. There we go. There we go. We got one side open. Let's get the other side open. Now, I was debating whether to open this or not, but even though it's kind of a cool collector set, and granted in 20, 30, 40 years you're worth something, it's still a reproduction of a reproduction of a reproduction. So here's what it says on the side: to celebrate 8 decades of play with Mattel, the world's most beloved toy company, is reimagined new wave nostalgia for fans of any age and era. Be kind and rewind with this collection in our honor of such momentous milestones, available exclusively at Target. Of course, they got the checkers to look like the 80s, which looks like, which is funny. I don't know why they'd have checkers like the 80s. I guess it makes sense because He-Man figures came out in the 80s. All right, so now to get the top open, there is lots of tape. They are tape happy. All these little tape circles everywhere. I should have got my smaller scissors. Open. There we go. There's one. It was much easier. Tape on the bottom. There we go. Tape on the bottom here. There we go. All right. I can already tell I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping when I open these doors, it would be separate cards. Oh, it is. It is separate cards for the figures. Oh, that is cool. Okay. My disappointment is over. That is really cool. Let's take a look at these. So inside the box, they got the big red explosion, which of course I am going to scan that baby in. And then we got Skeletor on this side at the top of Snake Mountain. And then on this side, I'm guessing it'll probably be He-Man. Oh, he's standing away from the castle. Very cool. Well, that was cool. I'm happy that they made them in separate boxes inside. I was afraid it was going to be... This is going to be kind of cool. Are they reclosable boxes, though? That's the next question. Bum, 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 bum. All right, so there they are. There is He-Man and Skeletor. And it looks like they are reclosable boxes. Good job, Mattel. Excellent job. All right, hold on a second. Oh, there it is. Oh. Now, I don't have a regular 80s He-Man in the box anymore, which would have been cool if I did, but here is a commemorative He-Man. And you can see inside the box is another box. And this commemorative was very close to the way it actually looked for the 80s figure. So you can take a look and see that they redesigned the rocks breaking out there. They are different than the ones we had in this one. and the coloring is different. This is a little bit darker red here and a little bit darker blue up here. The rest looks pretty close to the same. And let's just get it open. Let's just stop talking. Let's open up Skeletor first. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why is it opening up Skeletor first? Well, a little backstory. The first Masters of the Universe figure I ever owned was Skeletor. He was the first figure I ever owned. And I remember how cool he was. And in my mind, he wasn't this horrible, evil, bad guy. He was like just this blue hulking figure that had a skull face. Oh, look at that. They even released the original comics again. Oh, look at that. All remastered. Bright colors. So cool. They just show the two figures. Now, it always bothered me because, as you guys know, I have my top 11 figures. And when they made the commemorative, we got all of the top 11 figures except for 2. The 2 we did not get, because we got all these evil baddies. That was cool. And we got a lot of these, but we did not get these 2 right here. I really wish they would have re-released these 2. So Mattel, if you're listening, make a 2-pack of these 2 that's just like the original figures from the 80s, like these packs are. We don't need another Tila. We don't need another Man-at-Arms. We can get those with commemoratives. But to finish that commemorative line, to get my top 11, I need those 2 figures. I was really hoping they'd make them. All right, let's pull them out. I can already tell by looking at him, his color blue is different than I remember as a kid. It's not the same color blue. That's okay, though. The Havoc staff does look the same as what I had when I was a kid, except a little more shiny. It's very shiny. Shiny, shiny. Look at that. So, they did give this thing a little more glitz and shine to it. Where is that commemorative one? The commemorative one was based on the 80s one. And you can see it looks like they might have even used the same mold. It's so similar. You know what? They did not. Look at the center of the horn here. It's rounded up. The center of the horn here is flat. Now, I saw someone online drilling holes in there as I didn't know what was going on, but now I get it. It's because they were, yeah, and you can see the size difference. It is not the same mold at all. But they sure did a good job getting it close. Nice. Now, when they made the commemorative line, they actually bought real He-Man figures on eBay and actually bid for them. And some collectors actually donated some of theirs to make the commemorative line happen. Now, I'm not sure. I don't think they did the same thing with these figures, but we shall see by looking at them how close they are. Let's go ahead and pop them out of here. Now, remember, they only had to go back to the commemorative ones to create these if they wanted to. They didn't have to go all the way back to the original 80s figures. Now, the one thing I liked about these figures, which may seem a little strange, was I liked the fact that their biceps were not all the same. I know that sounds funny, but with all the new figures we got, all their biceps are the same all the way down. But you would notice that Beastman's were the smallest, and then Skeletor's and Merman was the next largest, and then He-Man's and Man-at-Arms had the largest. All right, let's take a look here. Oh, their legs are joints. Look at that. Instead of being rubber bands, they actually put joints in there. Interesting. So they didn't use rubber band legs. So they do have a little bit of a, not quite as much motion, but they'll stay in place once you move them. So that's cool. And then the waist, of course, turns. And it has the spring action. And the arms move. And I'm not going to pull this arm off to see what's underneath here. Usually I would, but nope. And then the head rotates. And you can feel it is a little squishy. And they gave him the cool pink cheeks. Now, if you don't know the story of the pink cheeks, the first released ones had pink cheeks like that. And they go for a little bit more money than the regular Skeletors. Now, also, the first releases only had a half boot, which they copied that on the commemorative ones. And if you look at the original comics, the Skeletor had only just a purple shin brace on here, and the foot was completely bare. And so the half boot kind of looked like that little shin brace that he had going on there. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I thought the half boot was because they were just cheap at painting, and because the sword also came as a half sword. And so I also thought the same thing, that the sword was just put into a one-sided mold when it was created. So I just thought they were just kind of cheapening out on stuff. So, kind of funny. Kind of funny. All right. Let's set him aside and let's look at him. Oh, I got an old Skeletor right here. And you can see the color difference between the new one and the old one. I guess it's not huge difference. This one has had more green. This one has more red in it. So this one's more turquoise and this one's more purplish. Even though it's still blue, it's just kind of leaning towards that slight purple hueish. And you can really see it next to this turquoise. So it's just more blue, just an ever so slight turquoise-ish look in it. Now he does have his hand to hold stuff, and that hand works really good. The commemorative line, the hands did not work that spectacular. Skeletor's wasn't too bad, but He-Man's was awful. He would drop all his weapons all the time. All right, we got one more weapon to pull out of here, and that is his sword. The Sword of Power! Now, in the comics, Skeletor did not have the sword himself. The sword is usually hidden in a rock or somewhere else in some kind of quest. And with He-Man, it was the same way too. He didn't actually wield the sword in the comics. He wielded his battle axe. And so the sword was just like a treasure they had to find in order to unlock the secrets of Castle Grayskull and access the castle. All right, well, I'm going to save all these pieces. I probably should have not been so rough opening this. I forgot it's resealable. I'll be more gentle with Skeletor, or with He-Man. Let me put the magazine back in its little pouch. That's so cool they made it resealable. Excellent job, Mattel. I was so afraid of opening them and just ripping them open and then not having a way to put them back in a cool little display if I wanted to. Let's see, the fun part is you guys get to watch me mess with this little bag for the next 3 hours. A 3 hour tour. There we go, I got it. All right. And let's put this all back together. There's no little area cut out for the comic to sit. It just sits on top. Now, even though I love the back box art of this, it's really cool being the whole entire thing. I would have really loved if they would have gave us an 8-back rendition like they did with the commemorative. That would have been really cool. But this is still cool, don't get me wrong. All right, now for the He-Man. All right, so He-Man, here he is. Ooh-ah. And here's the back of his box. And what's cool is both of these together, it looks like it probably makes the full picture. It does. Look at that. So if you had these on your shelf and you had a walk around shelf, you could see the backside, the rest of the picture in your box art. That is very, very clever. Good job, Mattel. I'm really impressed with what Mattel did at this so far. Hopefully the comic in here is different. If it's not, I might cry a little bit, but I'll be okay. All right, let's take a look. And it is! Hooray! Now, since they only released 2 of these figures, they should have put 2 comics in each one and given us the first original 4. That would have totally rocked. But I understand. Hopefully they release 2 more figures. Mattel, Ram Man, and Manny Faces, please. And that's very cool. And let's go ahead and open this guy up. Now, what's cool about this, at first glance, I'm looking at it, and there are 2 things I love, and that is the shield and the battle axe. This is made like the original shield and battle axe we got way back in the 80s. Now, the sword, like I already mentioned, is not. But the battle axe and the shield are. We have not seen these with the new figures at all with a battle axe like that or a sword like that. Now, or a shield like that. But too bad they did not do that with the sword of power. The sword of power! What is holding him in? Oh, nothing. Okay, cool. All right, so here is He-Man. And he has his trusty battle axe. And yes, his hand grasps it firmly. Grasp it firmly. So let's talk about articulation. So same thing. He has those joints right there. So not the rubber band like we've seen before. And his boots are two-toned. Very cool. And then he has the spring waist. Hoyo! Hoyo! His arms rotate up and down. That one's a little tight. And then his head moves. And yes, it is a little squishy, but not as squishy as the original heads were. It's actually a little bit tougher than the original heads. So I would not squish his head too much. You're going to end up ruining it. Let's compare. Let's compare the heads. It looks like they may have tried to remold this head. It looks like a softer, like they used this to make the mold, and because of that, it made a softer version of the head. Or they scanned it in, and it made a softer version. If you take a look, though, a lot of the sharp edges are gone. So you look at the detail in the hair on the original one, and the detail in the hair on this one. It's very soft, as opposed to this one having lots of detail on the head. It is the same, though. It's just a softer version over here. And you get that when you scan things in and try to print them, or if you remold them and try to remold them. So it's interesting. Similar, but yet different. It looks like when someone does their own knockoffs, or not knockoffs, but their own customs, and they cast a head and then remake it. That is so weird, the legs. They just don't move the same, and if you can feel, it wants to go the wrong way and potentially snap. Because it's connected here instead of connected up here, like the rubber bands are. So that is a little different. All right, so now let's get his shield out of there. Oh, that is funny. See these dots right here? Those dots used to be like little plastic rivets that held it together. But instead they just have one metal rivet and just the dots to kind of raise. I thought they were actually going to do that. So here's the original one. Where's my box? There it is. So the original shield, you can see here, they have the plastic rivets melted on there. And the new one, they just have spots the rivets should be. And then on the inside, they had a piece of cardboard that looked like it came from a Bounce wipes, the same color orange. Where this is just painted. I'm guessing. You know, it might be some kind of plastic in there. It's hard to tell. There's a little spot of orange right there. Yeah, it's painted. So there's a little bit of slop on the edge there. But it's cool. You got the little button on there. So here's the original. Here is the new one. Now this was very flexible, so you can put it on his arm easy. This one is more rigid. So be careful not to scratch your paint. All right, let's put this on. Oh yeah, that fits nice. That fits nice. Now, when I was a kid, it bothered me that He-Man's gauntlets were not painted. As you can see here, the unpainted gauntlets. And then later on, we got Triclops, whose gauntlets were painted. So a lot of people would swap out Triclops' arms, but his skin tone was different. So At one point, I did paint my guy's arms. I think I got some painted arms in here somewhere. Must be in a different box where I got a painted one. Oh well, never mind. Oh, there they are. I knew I had them. So here are my painted orange on my He-Man's arms. But it's nice that these ones come already pre-painted. So that's cool. Now what's weird is you can see the armor is not quite the same. This is just off-center a little bit. And when you rotate it around, it looks like it's even off-center on its chest a little bit. You gotta kind of reshape that to fit. There we go. Nice. Now they do show the sword. In his back, just like that, like we used to do when we were younger. And one other thing, they also did not make this He-Man very tan. He is actually very light toned. If you take a look at the original release, how much darker the toning is. And the Commemorative was even darker than that. So you can see that the new He-Man is very, very light skin colored. And I'm not sure why they did that. Even in the cartoon, he is very tan. And He-Man's always been a very tan character, so I'm not sure what's with the lighter skin tone. Not the best way to store it. They always get a little bent, but it always kept the armor together here in the bottom. All right, let's go ahead and do a little cleaning here. Let's put He-Man's box back together. I'm not going to open this comic. We've seen it before. Put this back together. And now we'll compare these to the pictures they have on the Target website. Now they have multiple pictures on the Target website. They have ones that look more like the figures. But the first picture they show is the one that I printed off to show you guys what... That is so cool. What they look like. So here we go. Let's first compare. Wow, look at that. It's almost the same size. That is funny. I just happened to throw it. Whoop. You guys fell over. I just happened to throw it on my Word document before I printed it. That's funny. Anyway, so let's take a look here and zoom in on this one and talk about He-Man. And you can see, starting from the top down, that his armor is gray, and the plus is not nearly as nice as the original, the one we got. And his boots are painted different too. I actually like what we got better. So when I first saw this picture, if this is what we would have got, I would not have been happy. I actually like what we got better than what's shown on the actual website. So this looks way cooler than the website, I believe. And that's why I ended up getting it, is because I saw the other pictures on the website and I thought, well, it looks like that. I'm going to get it. So with that, let's take a look at Skeletor. And Skeletor is quite a bit different. You have his little piece right here painted in the front. Then you have all these painted and his green up there, little dots here. I actually like it better not painted, to tell you the truth. I'm glad they had the pink cheeks. That's a must. Wish they would have had the half boot, but that's okay. And not a fan of the toenails being painted, because technically it's supposed to be his boots, but not too shabby. Now mine is loose right here for Skeletor, but it's very tight for He-Man. Doesn't have the same looseness. So I'm not sure what's going on there. If it's just mine or they're all that way. But now you can battle He-Man and Skeletor with their spring waists. Alright, one last thing to do, and that is to connect the Sword of Power! The Sword of Power. So, again, this is the ones that we got with the first Skeletors and He-Man's released with Masterverse. They are very similar in styling to the original swords, as you can see here, Wait a sec. Make sure I got the original ones and not the commemorative ones. I should not have mixed them. I don't know which is which now. I'm going to have to look at more commemorative figures and figure it out. Let me open it up, take a look. Watch, they're both the old ones. That would be funny. China, 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 China. Okay, hold on a second. That's fine. They're so close, I can't tell the difference. So, the original swords, they would combine with a small little half round piece on He-Man's sword, would go into the slot on this side here. And then you have the bumps, and basically you put it together, ba-boom. And then with that, you can open up the castle. Now, the new one is a little bit thinner, so when you put it together, it's not like quite as thick. And when it snaps together, the handle is actually the same size as one handle is supposed to be. So it'll actually fit better in a figure's hand. So these swords are actually better, even though I kind of wish they would. I mean, technically they are the same, because in reality you wouldn't have this chunk of plastic there. That's more for when they had to form it. So I guess they are the same swords. They have this rounded handle here. And it's nice these fit together, because when they first released... Well, where did I stick them now? There he is on the floor. When they first released these ones, they did a change of the swords right in the middle. So if you didn't have the same Skeletor and He-Man matching together, they wouldn't fit. The swords wouldn't fit together. And I had a little bit of problem when I first got them. So that is kind of cool. Now, if I remember right, when He-Man holds his sword, it looks normal, and Skeletor's looks backwards, I think. Let me take a look here. Let's compare the originals. So yeah, they did it the same way, where Skeletor's is this side. You can tell by the handle. So when he holds his sword, it's on the outside that we have this. So when you fight him, you have to have him on this side like that. And then He-Man, when he holds his sword, it's on the outside that we have. So whenever I used to take a picture of these guys, I would always put them in the camera like this, facing this way, so that both swords had not the wrong side shown. Ugh. Take that, He-Man. I love these figures. You know, it's funny. I didn't think I was going to like these so much, but this just has so much nostalgia. Just even though they're so different, it gives me a way more nostalgia than these would, or these did. It's like when I first opened the commemoratives, it was just like, oh, you know, and we'll hear the angels singing in the background of how cool these are. But anyway, there we go. So I actually like the new swords better than the original. I like the old Havoc staff better than the new one. I like the pink cheek on Skeletor. I like the original head better than this one, because this one just looks like it's been the cookie dough just went down too far in the oven on those shaped cookies. And I'm still haven't decided on the armor yet. I mean, I do like the silver armor. It's cool, but it just keeps sliding over. Wow, that plus is a lot bigger. Look at the size difference of the cross in the middle. I did not notice that at first. This one's so much larger. Very cool. And we're also missing the ridge that goes around here. That little detail is not on the new one. So, kind of a tough call. Now, I think out of all the armors, I do really like the commemorative one. I like the darker colors of the commemorative one even better than the original. So I think out of all three of these armors, the commemorative one's still my favorite out of all three of the armors. All right. There you go. Now you've heard it all. Oh, you know what? I did not check the bottom of the feet. Important thing to do, because we found out the commemorative ones were different because of the bottom of the feet. So let's go ahead and do that. The originals have flat feet. The commemorative ones have a lip around the foot. And the new ones, dun, 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 have a lip around the feet. So I'm almost wondering if this is actually a commemorative body instead of made from the original. You know what? It's a new sculpt. It's not the commemorative. You can see the biceps a little different here, and the armband is different. This armband kind of goes up, and this one goes perfectly straight around. And these little ring bar bumps on it are bigger than on the commemorative. And on the original, yeah, it's different than the original too. The original is deeper right here at the top than this one is. And again, the bumps are smaller on the original than on the commemorative. And the commemorative is shaped better for the way they did that bracer. And the hands on here are actually better than the original. And of course, way better than the commemorative. I had to actually bend mine over with a heat gun to try to even get it to work. So not only did they make it close to the original, they actually improved on it, but not to the point where you lose the nostalgia. Because too much improvement, you kind of lose the nostalgia. So they used the commemorative idea of this, better paint apps. The armor, though, is going to drive me crazy. How it doesn't keep going crooked. And then a much better job on the wrist cuff on the right. And the one on the left, let's take a look here. Yeah, it does look just a little bit different. Yes, there's some more detailing to this. You can see the depth difference from here and here. So again, it is a new sculpt, but they did a really good job on that sculpt. And like I mentioned earlier, you can see the bicep difference, which I can't believe they got this just right. And so I often noticed as a kid that Skeletor's left arm was wider than his right arm. If you take a look at the biceps, you can see that. And this new one's the same way. So they nailed it. They got that just right. Very cool. And again, I don't know how they made these, whether they scanned the old ones in and did it, or and then used the computer to touch them up and change them a little bit, or what they did. But well done. I'm really impressed. All right, I think that ends my tour of these new figures. I know it's kind of a long video just talking about 2 action figures, but these were made very well. I'll put the link to Target in the description. It does not help our channel at all. We're not affiliated with Target, but you guys can still get the link so you can get your own set if you want. They are cool. As a heads up, the commemorative shield looked like this. No rivets, no fake rivets, and it was just one piece and painted. And the commemorative one, out of all of them, I think is my favorite also. I just like the way the commemorative one looks better than the new one for styling. No fake rivets is weird. So, there you go. That's my rundown. Alright, you guys. Thanks for joining me. And, like they say in the 1987 movie, oops. There we go. Good journey. Bye now.
If you found enjoyment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Do it.